spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of the Scaryish podcast.
Woo!
Alrighty, so this week we have a couple topics for you. I don't really know what your topic is because we haven't really talked about it.
We have not. I'm actually pretty excited. Mine is about like a local legend somewhere in the United States. It's a suggestion that I picked up from one of our wonderful spooky friends.
Really?
Yeah, indeed. So what are you going to be covering this week?
I'm going to be covering a mysterious death somewhere in a desolate place of the world.
Wow, super specific.
Yep.
I like that you're getting really targeted on that.
I'm very vague because I'll go into what it is. I mean, you guys have already read the title. I don't know what you guys are worried about.
You guys know. We don't know. We're playing coy with one another, but you guys are like, yeah, we get it, okay? So right on. Before we get started, I think we have a couple things we just want to cover. Exciting things as well. I'm going to let you go first with yours.
So there are three if you count the glitter version. There's 3 new hard enamel pins that are going to be coming out hopefully by mid-May, something like that. But they're up for pre-order on the Etsy shop. There's like a bunny one, like a little bunny skull one, and then there's like a little ghost that says boo and stuff on it.
The ghost one's pretty adorable, but the bunny one is really good.
And I'm really excited because this is the first time that I'm doing a glitter one. So the glitter ones are very, very limited. I think there's only 15 left.
So you have regular bunny ones, and then you have bunny ones where...
with like the pink is... like the ears and the cheeks are glitter instead. So.
I will say, as far as pre-orders go, Robin told me today, and she was very excited that we were almost out of the glitter ones, right? So you had to order more.
I had to add more because I was just like, man, these are actually really popular. And so there's more glitter ones that I added on. So hopefully there's 15 left instead of 5. So I just added 10 more on. But so go and check that out. It's on our Etsy shop, and right now it's free shipping till the end of May. So if you guys do an order that's over $15, you get free shipping, which saves you at least $2.50, at least, depending on where you're from. Could be over $3. You never know. But free shipping's pretty sweet. Since we're all stuck inside, I thought, like, hey, discounts. Everybody loves discounts. Also, the pins are at a discounted pre-order price right now, so it's best to get it now while you can.
Right on. In addition to that, not the merchandising side of things, but I guess the audience participation side of things, we have a couple of things coming up this week. We've talked about it previously that we got into this thing with Twitch where we can do a watch party. As long as you have Amazon Prime, you'll be able to watch a movie along with us. There's like 100 on the list. Most of them are series that we can pick from. A few of them are movies, and even fewer of those movies are horror movies. We already did one, which was about a week and a half ago, and we watched... what was the movie that we watched?
The Woman in Black.
The Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe. We had about 15, 20 people come out for that. It was really fun to watch it all together. And again, you just log in as long as your Amazon Prime is active. You can watch it. If you don't have an active Amazon Prime, you can do a trial, which you can just sign up for, and you'll be able to watch it.
There's a link on our website if you want to do that.
There's a link on our website to do it, and you get free 30 days of Amazon Prime, so you can watch the movie with us. Now, the question is, when? Saturday. It's going to be Saturday at noon Pacific time, 2 Central, 3 Eastern. The second question is going to be where? Twitch.tv/Scaryish podcast. And the final question is going to be, well, what are we watching? And that is up to you. If you go over to Facebook.com/Scaryish podcast, and there is going to be a poll between now and Saturday that we will pick which movie, and by we I mean all of us together, whether it will be the original Friday the 13th or I Am Legend with Will Smith. I think it came out in like 2008.
I've never seen Friday the 13th.
Yeah, so. Robin's never seen the original Friday the 13th. It'll be fun regardless of which movie we watch. We want to make sure it is up to you, and you all know when we're doing it and where. So a little bit of audience participation always goes a long way, and I'm really, really excited to put that up. Secondly, we actually got an offer to play a game on our stream. They reached out to us. They said, hey, this is a brand new horror game. It's not quite out yet. Would you like to stream this for a minimum of an hour? And we said, absolutely, we would like to do that.
It's called Dread Nautical, and it's a Lovecraftian tactical RPG. So kind of cool that it's going to have like Lovecraft elements to it. And
I watched the trailer. It's like you're on a cruise, you're on vacation. There's like 4 characters.
But it's like a creepy cruise.
Yeah, you like cross over into like this weird parallel universe where there's all these creatures. So they gave us a free game key. They said like as long as you stream for up to an hour, you can do it anytime until May 3rd. So we looked at our calendar and we said, we think we're going to do this Wednesday, which is April 29th. at 4 p.m. Pacific time, which is the idea that we're kicking around, which means if you would like to join us, it's again at twitch.tv/Scaryish podcast, and this one can also be viewed at youtube.com/Scaryish. So it's 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, if you would like to join us on Wednesday to watch us play Dreadnautical. And we're just like, it's so cool they reached out to us, they offer this to us, we're going to go ahead and do it. So anyone who's a gamer and also enjoys spooky things, this is a perfect opportunity to just watch us play this game and see if you like it. So thank you to Zen Studios and to Restream who reached out to us with that offer. It's really cool. We're getting some of these things based off of like the interactivity from our show and the interactivity from the spooky friends. Like people are reaching out to us just to say like, would you like to be part of this beta? Would you like to have this sort of early access to whatever? And it's just, I don't know. It's been really interesting to see these things come in. So if you'd like to participate and watch, it would be awesome to have you there. If not, we totally understand everyone has lives and we're doing more and more content. We understand not everyone's capable of consuming all of it all at once. So no worries. That is all the things we have before the show. So I guess we can go ahead and get the topic episode started. And I think you're going to be going first if I'm not mistaken. So Robin, go ahead and take it away.
All right. So mysterious deaths and disappearances are probably one of my favorite topics to cover. And this week I get to do that. And I told Adam, I was like, these are my favorite. And he just goes, that's cool. I enjoy normal things like happiness.
No, I said I enjoy when people
like
don't
that.
disappear and die.
Oh my God.
And she was like, no, like the topic of it. I'm like, I know what you meant. I was just busting your balls.
Yeah, it's just something that's so curious to me. Like conspiracy theories and strange unexplainable occurrences are just really interesting. It's like the true crime aspect of it, you know? Because I covered D.B. Cooper in the past, which was such a strange conspiracy theory type thing.
I remember slightly hearing about it. So when you talked about D.B. Cooper, I was like, oh, this one's awesome.
Yeah, I just really like weird things that make no sense. You know, it's just really cool. So the mystery today is the death of an Australian astrophysicist by the name of Dr. Rodney David Marks, who died in May of 2000. So It's really not that long ago. I was like 10 years old probably when it happened. And we don't often cover events from the 2000s, I feel like. It's a lot of things that
further
happened.
Back.
Yeah, a lot further.
Like
the Dyatlov Pass stuff, which was way in the long time ago.
I always call that one the Dilatov because I always transpose the T and the L.
I honestly don't know if I said it right. Did I say it right?
I think you said it right because I'm pretty sure I'm always wrong.
But yeah, so I thought it would be pretty cool to do something that's more recent. And there are research stations all over the world, different places where people do research. And apparently Antarctica is a really great place to study space, which I had no idea, but it makes sense because there's not a lot of lights from cities and stuff like that.
That does make sense, yeah.
And Marks was stationed with 49 others at the U.S. Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, and it's maintained by the U.S. National Science Foundation, or the NSF.
Right on.
And is like taken care of by the U.S. contractor named Raytheon Polar Services. I didn't realize like all these things existed. I was just like, oh, Antarctica penguins, cool.
It's kind of funny though because we were talking about this maybe a week ago, but it's so weird to think of space in the terms of 3D. Like we live on a planet. You know, and like no matter where you're at, everywhere just feels like up, you know?
Yeah.
But we're in the northern hemisphere, so up for us is a different direction than someone that would be in this station because they're on the southern part of the planet.
Right.
Up for them, to me, is down, you know? And the fact that space is 360, like they see different constellations in the southern hemisphere than we see in the northern hemisphere. So they're looking at a completely different sky. You know, based off where you're at on the planet, you may never see the same stars as someone else on the other side of the planet.
That's kind of cool.
It's just bizarre to think about that way.
It's weird for me when we talk about places like Australia where we have winter and they're in the middle of their summer, and it's just so strange. It's so confusing for me to kind of put together the fact that, hey, it's snowing here, but it's probably not snowing in another part of the world. It's so weird. Okay. Anyway, so knowledge nugget. This station is the southernmost continually inhabited settlement on Earth, which is so cool. Though there are possibly hundreds of bodies frozen within the ice of Antarctica.
What the fuck?
Most deaths are accidents.
That just took a really weird, morbid turn.
There have been deaths, though, of people that have been stationed at the Amundsen Scott Station before. There was like a chef or a cook there that died because he was scraping snow off something or something like that. There have also been supposed other reports of murder in the Antarctic. One very interesting one is at least one unconfirmed, and two, I thought morbidly funny.
Wow.
Is in 1959, a scientist at Russia's Vostok station snapped after losing a game of chess and murdered his opponent with an axe.
Wow. That is a very serious case of game rage.
Supposedly, chess has been banned from Russia's Antarctic bases.
Wow.
I just thought it was, like, legitimately morbidly funny. It's like, man, guy went crazy. But
I can just see, like, the official responsible for the report, like, okay, no more chess. Chess is clearly the reason this happened.
So you're isolated, there's nothing but snow, and it's like, what are you going to do? You know, you can't really go out and get some air or space, and you're bored, and I bet they get claustrophobic after a while.
I think we can all kind of relate to that. I was going to say,
it's kind of like these days, right, where we're just isolated and there's nothing but snow, and it's like, snow, I mean, like cocaine, you know?
Wow.
Not really.
She's not telling the truth about how our lives are in quarantine. It's a lie.
But don't murder people over chess while we're isolated with each other, okay? I know some people are probably so sick of the people that they're with. I know I'm totally sick of you.
I was going to say, I can't imagine what that's like.
But yeah, so Marks had been stationed at this particular station before, from 1997 to 1998 as part of the Center for Astrophysical Research in Antarctica's South Pole Infrared Explorer Project.
Damn.
And this is why I'm not in academia, because that's way too many words.
That
like
is
for
just,
one
you need
project,
an acronym, you know what I mean?
Let's see, what's the acronym for this? CARAS.
That's good. That's not bad.
I mean, that's not bad. So one of the researchers he was with during that particular stint, Dr. Chris Martin, no relation to the lead singer of Coldplay.
Wow, that's funny.
Said that Marks liked it there so much that he wanted to go again. So in 1999, he did just that, and he was described as friendly and even joined the bass band, which was called Fanny Pack and the Big Nancy Boys.
What?
It's creative. I mean, that's so funny. But Mark's death certainly kind of was a shock to everyone because it came out of nowhere. And the circumstances behind his death were, and still are, unclear, leading many to dub it as, quote-unquote, the first South Pole murder. And the thing about that is there really isn't a lot of evidence to prove that it was someone else's fault at all for his death. And who knows, there could have been other murders before this.
That's good. That's where my head went to. It was like, how do you know that?
At the time, he was employed by the Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory.
Or SAO, also known as Sword Art Online.
He was also working on their Antarctic submillimeter telescope.
Jesus,
and
these words.
Remote observatory project. So this guy's obviously really smart. He's working on these intense research projects, right?
He's working for and on projects with multiple syllables in each word. It's crazy.
My brain can't process. And this is totally why I could never be a researcher. I'm just like, what does it all mean? Like submillimeter? I get it. Okay, submillimeter. It's probably super, super, super tiny. Not the actual telescope itself, but it probably measures like super far, tiny, tiny things in space. Who knows? I don't know. I am not a scientist. We don't know any of these things. Anyway, so working in somewhere extreme like the South Pole is bound to come with inherent high risks. It's one of the coldest places on Earth, understandably, because it is like an extreme point on the planet. And it's hella windy. The highest recorded winds were 199 miles per hour.
Dear God.
We freak out at what, like 20, 30 miles per hour?
I don't know about freak out, but it's like we gotta move our furniture from the deck in and stuff like that.
You can't go bicycling because it's so difficult.
75 miles an hour or faster is a hurricane. And I'm pretty sure after 150 or 160, it's a category 5, which is catastrophic.
That's insane.
So 199 is like bizarrely high.
It's high, yeah. And
how the fuck do penguins survive down there?
I'm sure they make little homes, or I don't know how penguins live. Who knows? Wait, okay, so penguins, I know there are some penguins that don't live on one or the other, right?
Penguins live on the South Pole, polar bears live on the North Pole.
Okay, gotcha.
The way you can remember that, if you have trouble remembering that, I finally found a way.
What?
Coca-Cola has those bears that drink Coca-Cola that you see during Christmas, right? It's because Santa's from the North Pole.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So that's how I remember it. It's like Coca-Cola bears, Santa, Christmas, North Pole, Penguin, South Pole. Boom, done.
All right. Nice to know. I did not know that. All right. So the fact that winds get up to that high is absolutely insane. And it's dark half of the year. There's no sunlight for half of the year, you know? It's absolutely insane. There isn't really a readily available hospital in the area. So if something goes South Pole...
I hate you.
You can't really do anything. You're isolated. So... what's that movie that has Kurt Russell in it?
The Thing.
The Thing, yeah.
I wasn't going to make a Thing joke quite yet.
So there's... life be like that, you know, sometimes, where it's just, there's nothing they could do. There's no one that's going to come and help them if something like that happens.
Just grow a grizzly beard and deal with it.
What's funny is, like, in that movie, at the end, doesn't Kurt Russell,
Do not give away the ending to yet another thing.
The movie's so old, okay? If you haven't watched it yet, like, just
if you haven't watched it yet, spoiler alert, skip ahead 30 seconds. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
No, I don't want to spoil it. Just go watch it. It's a good, I think it's a good horror movie.
It's a great horror movie.
You guys should go watch it. It's definitely a mind little.
It's one of the only things to ever give my dad nightmares.
Really?
Like, very famously, my dad, you know, former Marine, total tough guy, 100% admitted to having nightmares after seeing that movie that recurred later in his life. My mom would say that he would wake up.
Really?
Like, she would wake up and he was, like, fighting something in his sleep, and he was fighting off a dog that was attacking him, and it was the dog while it was, like, becoming the creature in that movie. And he would always say, like, that has stuck with me for my entire life.
So The Thing is just about these scientists that are in a desolate, is it Antarctica or something like that?
I'm pretty sure it's Antarctica, and they're digging in the ice, and they find a sample, and when they thaw it, it turns out it's an alien life form because it was frozen in the ice, and it becomes active, and it just starts doing what it does. And if you watch the movie, you'll find out what that is.
Yeah, so it's just a science base that's isolated in the snow. So this place is pretty much like that, you know?
It's exactly what I pictured as soon as you started talking about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, this is going to go really, really bad.
Unfortunately, there are no aliens, or there could be. You never know. I'll
work an alien theory into this by the end.
Okay. In May of 2000, Marks began showing a number of concerning medical issues. He went to see the medical staff 3 separate times within a 36-hour period.
Wow.
And his condition escalated. So May 11th, he was feeling sick while on his way back from the remote observatory base.
It's my birthday.
And, oh, yeah. Oh, do you want to share your good news, too?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. So today I was offered a new job working at a video game studio, which I am super incredibly excited about. And it's funny because I used to tell Robin, you know, it's my dream to move into the gaming industry. I really want to move over there instead of just being like, you know, working at GameStop, working in retail from that end of it. I was like, I want to be in development. I want to do that sort of thing. That is my dream. And if I'm not there by the time I'm 35, I'm going to be really depressed. My first day is May 11th.
Which is
my
when
birthday,
he turns 35?
The day I turn 35. So
that's how old we are.
It's a pretty exciting day. I found out today, and I got to get all my paperwork taken care of and all that stuff. But yeah, that's. I was debating whether I want to say it on this or on the live episode, but most people won't have listened to this by the time the live episode happens on Tuesday on today. So, yeah, good stuff. I don't want to take over your topic.
All right, so he was feeling sick while on his way back from the remote observatory base, and it wasn't like the normal things you feel while you experience your body trying to acclimate to negative 80-degree weather.
I can't imagine negative
Fahrenheit,
80.
Not
negative 80
Celsius.
Fahrenheit is still crazy cold.
Yeah, and 24-hour nights, so it's like, I know when it's constant darkness like that, it's hard to get sleep. Your body is taking a toll. Like, all this weather is taking a toll on your body. And
it's hard to have your body clock not be all thrown off, too, by it constantly being nighttime and not feeling like you need to be tired all the time.
Yeah, so this guy, Marks, was not feeling those typical things that you feel while going through all these changes. His condition just kept escalating quickly. He was struggling to breathe. He was losing his vision. So he went to bed early because he was unusually tired. And he woke up at 5:30 a.m., vomiting blood, which is
God.
a big sign that you're
been
not
poisoned?
okay. Each visit to the infirmary had him have new symptoms. So his symptoms kept getting worse and worse and getting more painful. Not only was his body starting to fail him, but his mental state also kept deteriorating, which I think is normal, you know?
I'd be freaking out if I was literally dying and didn't know what was happening.
He was starting to get really agitated, which led the doctor there to think that anxiety had something to do with what was going on with him. But to me, it's like, if you think you're dying, you're going to be freaking out, you know? I would be absolutely irritated. I'd be absolutely upset, and I'd be pissed that this doctor can't do anything for me.
Right.
And then you're stuck. You're stuck,
and
isolated.
You're probably really, really scared. You know,
Yeah.
you don't know if you're going to be able to get any sort of help.
You know no one's going to be able to come and help you. You know that no one's going to be able to just drive up with an ambulance and take you to the hospital. That's just not a thing out there. So by the third time Marks went to get medical attention, he was totally hyperventilating. And the doctor there, Dr. Robert Thompson, his attending, injected him with an antipsychotic in order to calm him down, at which point his breathing did slow.
Uh-oh.
Despite the medical staff's attempt to get any medical advice via satellite, there was nothing that they could do. So shortly after him getting that antipsychotic shot, Marks went into cardiac arrest. After 45 minutes of unsuccessful resuscitation, Marks died 6:45 p.m. May 12th, in 2000 at only 32 years old.
Wow.
So he was younger than you are now.
That's scary.
It is scary. Officials had to wait 6 months to be able to get Mark's body flown to New Zealand to be autopsied because it was too cold for any planes to land. And so during this time, those living at the base created a makeshift casket for him out of wood scraps and laid him to rest as best they could in their storage, preserving his remains for the time being.
Yeah, you can kind of do that.
Absolutely. At first, everyone assumed that he died of some type of natural cause, you know? But when the coroners did get to him, they found that he'd suffered from acute methanol poisoning. And so this was a huge shock to everyone. He had ingested about 150 milliliters of methanol, which is about the size of a glass of wine. So
what's methanol? I know we talked about this while you were doing your topic.
I'll get there.
Okay. I'll pause my questions.
So Antarctica is governed by a treaty that is signed by 54 different countries. So you can imagine that any crimes or murders or deaths are a nightmare to deal with. Marks worked for a U.S. station, but died within the Ross Dependency, which is within a territory of Antarctica that is owned by New Zealand. So New Zealand became the nation with the jurisdiction over the case and went to work to find out how he could have possibly been poisoned. And methanol is commonly used to clean scientific equipment in Antarctica, which is interesting. I didn't know that. So, a bit of knowledge for you folks. Methanol is also known as methyl alcohol and is mostly produced by hydrogenation of carbon monoxide, which already doesn't sound good. Like, carbon monoxide's not good for you.
Hydrogenation of carbon monoxide.
I think it's like when you put an extra hydrogen atom to something, like H2O becomes...
I'm just wondering how you would do it, like, practically, you know? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just trying to think like a scientist here, like an investigator, and be like, I don't know how he died.
All I know is, like, when H2O comes together, it makes water. So I'm sure when they put extra hydrogen atoms, touch it, it makes it into this alcohol.
I've watched The Martian. Okay, I'm smart. I could make water on Mars if I needed to.
Shut up. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know how any of this works, right? So drinking methanol would be somewhat similar to drinking alcohol, except it is way more toxic. So this stuff is used in formaldehyde, like, type thing.
Ironic.
It is,
it's
though.
It's like he was, embalming himself to start.
It is, though, subtly sweet and colorless. So I could imagine...
Oh, that water was a little sweet.
Well, if it was an alcoholic drink, you could just slip it into someone's drink.
Shit.
And that would be pretty easy, because you already know, like, okay, it's going to taste like alcohol.
Like when you put gasoline into those liquor bottles at the end of that fucking movie.
Shut up. You just talked about no spoilers.
I didn't say what movie, though.
Yeah, so slipping it into someone's drink probably wouldn't be that difficult, considering it's clear, it's sweet. You want to make some cocktails? Let's get fucked up, you know? But poisoning...
This is what she sounds like during quarantine all the time. I'm pretty sure yesterday she was like 10:30 p.m. margaritas.
I mean, I had one margarita.
At 10:30 p.m.
Yeah, and then I played video games. What up? Poisoning symptoms include decreased consciousness, poor coordination, vomiting, abdominal pain, and a strange breath smell. So your breath smells weird. I don't know.
Your breath smells like methanol.
You can literally die from drinking just a small amount of this stuff. About 100 milliliters can kill you, which really isn't that much at all. And this guy drank 150 milliliters. So
way more than the toxic
yes.
dose.
I might have drank that much tequila in my margarita last night.
Called it.
But it can't kill you like regular alcohol can't. Well, it can kill you.
I was gonna
but
say,
100 milliliters of alcohol, regular alcohol.
You'd have to have some sort of severe allergic reaction to it.
So that's really not that much. And the fact that he drank enough to be a wine glass of the stuff, that he had no chance, you know? It's just bad news if you ingest it, if you inhale it, if you absorb it through your skin. I know there was a chemical that I didn't mess with, but we had an experiment with when I took a chemistry class or something a few years ago. And if you kept the crystals in your pocket and it absorbed into your skin, it was not good for you. Because I'm pretty sure the crystals were made of some type of acid or something like that. I don't remember. But
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Chemical facts. There are things that absorb into your skin that are just really, really bad for you. I'm sure that's with everything, though. Who knows? Okay, what were you going to say?
I was just debating if I wanted to share a story. When I was in high school, there was this girl who I really did not like. She was obnoxious.
Did you poison her?
I did nothing to her. But we were having a chemistry lab, and we were like doing a bunch of different experiments with a bunch of different stuff. I'm pretty sure the element that this happened with was sodium. Pretty sure it was sodium. But
sodium is like the silver stuff that if you put it in water, it explodes.
Yes, I think when it's like the pure stuff.
Yeah.
But what I don't know if it was sodium then. It was something where when I heard about it, I was like, oh my God, did she die? But she was in a different class. She was in a different chemistry class than I was. So I had like second or third period. And so like fifth or sixth period hit. And that was when she had it. And then my last period of the day, she wasn't there. And I was like, oh, where's so-and-so? And they're like, oh, you didn't hear? I'm like, no, what happened? So during this lab, she was just so obnoxious and she was so shitty. She was like one of the mean girls in my high school. And I guess she said something to someone and was just cackling madly at her own joke.
What?
Just ha ha.
Did her hair set on fire?
No, someone at that exact moment, like some Final Destination shit, bumped into someone else who fucking put their hand down to catch themselves, and they smacked a fucking protractor or ruler that had a piece of sodium on it and went flying through the fucking air and flew into the back of her throat, and she swallowed it. And she freaked the fuck out, and the teachers like rushed her out of there. They took her to the hospital, and then they found out like when ingested, it's actually not that big of a deal because your stomach acid completely takes care of it.
I don't think it's sodium.
So I'm not sure exactly what element it was. I can try and text someone like, hey, you remember 20 years ago when that dumb bitch swallowed this? What was it? So, and then everyone's going to text me back different stories that I really don't want to hear. But I just remember in high school like hearing like, oh yeah, like she swallowed some of that shit. She's on her way to the hospital and being like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah,
like, it was just bizarre.
I remember in high school when we worked with sodium, there was like a blast shield, right?
Right,
so
when you drop it in water.
Yeah, so there's a blast shield and everything like that. So I don't think they would have just had this stuff laying around for them to just...
I remember our teacher, high school teacher, dropped some sodium into some water because she didn't think the reaction would be as violent as it was. And we were telling her like, no, we've seen videos in previous classes, like, it's going to blow up. And she had like a mirror above her desk so you could watch all the experiments she was doing from your desk and take notes.
Cute.
So she had the mirror there and she dropped the sodium in and it shot up with such force it broke the fucking mirror.
Wow.
So like our chemistry class was just a shit show my whole high school.
Oh my God. Okay, anyway, back to the actual topic of this murder / death of this person, because who knows if it's a murder, right?
Ingested methanol. Gotcha.
So Marks was described as brilliant and witty. And though he was known to drink, it's believed that he did not die due to suicide. So, some claim that he was known to use alcohol to cope with his Tourette's, which, I don't know about that, but everyone's different. Who knows? Maybe he did cope with it that way. But I want to believe that that's not the case.
Some people just like to drink. You know, they drink frequently. It's just a part of their life. I know a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm going to have a beer, like, all the time. So, who knows?
He was supposedly happily engaged to Sonia Walter, a fellow Australian who had signed up to be stationed there with Marks. Some suggested that Marks drank the methanol to get a quote-unquote recreational high, but there was plenty of genuine liquor and beer there on the base.
And why wouldn't he tell them that?
Yeah.
If he knew that's what happened, he was having this horrible reaction, you figure he'd be like, I drank some methanol.
Yeah. So that's the thing with this, is that when he went to doctors, he was just as confused as everyone else. So it's like he had no clue that there could have been a poison in his body. You know, if he did drink it, he would have been like, yo, you know, this is why I don't feel good. You gotta, because they would have been able to do something about it if they knew what was wrong with him.
He might have known, being a scientist, what to do to counteract it if that was the case.
Right. Hence the mystery murder. And then there's even more shady stuff that kind of makes me think the whole thing is a little bit sketch with this doctor. So, in 1996, Dr. Robert Thompson reported that the first time Marks ever came to the medical facility for help, he seemed nervous, quote, nervous, anxious, and upset, end quote, and even had 2 needle marks on his arm. And Thompson never asked any questions about these things that he noticed, which as a doctor seems really sketchy and really messed up. Like, if you saw someone that looked like he had track marks, wouldn't you be like, what is that?
Yeah, not to mention the fact that they're acting bizarre.
Right. It's just, why wouldn't you bring that up with a patient if that's something you are concerned about? And why would you give him an antipsychotic if he is vomiting blood? Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't add up to me. This guy seems super sketch. So the base did have a blood analyzer that could have detected the levels of methanol in his system that could have helped with treatment. What's suspicious to me is the lithium-ion battery had died sometime previously, so when powering it back up, it would have needed to be recalibrated by Thompson, which would have taken 8 to 10 hours. Which, to me, is absolutely insane that this thing needed 8 to 10 hours
to recalibrate.
It's like, what are the odds? You know what I mean? Dr. William Silva from a nearby station claimed that if they had had issues with it, Thompson could have called the manufacturer's free tech support. Though telephone signal in Antarctica is not the best. I mean, satellite phones must have been a thing, but I don't know how they work.
Yeah, they could have had some way of communicating.
But Silva does claim like he could have gotten help with the machine and helped him out, but there's nothing you can't really tell, you know? There's no way to know how the situation went, what was going on with everyone in their heads and stuff like that. Thompson, in later stages of inquest, did kind of fall off the grid, though. He kind of disappeared.
Wow.
So I think he's really sketchy. I don't trust that guy. Whatever. There was an article published in the New Zealand Herald in 2008 that reports that they still haven't been able to solve Mark's death. The case itself kind of fizzled out. His family believes that they'll never know how he died or what happened exactly.
That's so sad.
At a coroner's hearing in 2006, Detective Senior Sergeant Grant Wormold commented that they struggled with getting any help from U.S. authorities in their investigation. They claim that the U.S. did their own investigation and won't give up any information that they came up with. Only 13 of the 49 mostly American individuals that lived on that base cooperated with the inquiry.
So the vast majority didn't cooperate at all?
Yep.
Wow.
Police literally had to find the names of everyone that was on base with Marks when he died themselves. They had to go and search themselves via the internet.
Wow.
Which is like, what? How is no one helping these people try to figure out what happened to this guy?
No one's trying to help solve a murder.
It's super sketchy. Well, you don't know if it's a
potential murder. You have to
murder.
investigate it like it was foul play.
It's pretty crappy when the family just wants to know what happened to their son. And no one, it's like they don't want to believe that he did it to himself. And I honestly don't think he did it to himself because you
wouldn't reach out for help.
He wouldn't have gone to the medical center. He would have
Right.
just been like, I'm good. I'm going to die here. You know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. Those at the Herald attempted to contact Raytheon only to be returned with a quote-unquote no comment and was referred to NSF offices in Washington, D.C. For answers that way. with no help, obviously. With no solid leads, there's been no one blamed for the death of Marks. There's no way to prove if it was an accident or a murder. But the main takeaway from the whole situation is that it was necessary to create a set of rules of investigation and accountability concerning deaths in Antarctica on a fair and open basis. Because 54 countries on one treaty, that's absolutely insane.
Right.
There's never been a trial for murder that has happened in Antarctica, though there are questions as to whether murder has ever been committed there. So there could have been murders and they just, sweep it under the rug or something.
It certainly feels like they just examined this and said, what a logistical nightmare. Let's just not deal with this. And yeah, someone died and one family won't ever know what happened to their son. But as long as we keep saying no comment, eventually people will just forget about it.
It's just absolutely insane that something like this happened. I mean, it's so sketchy. That doctor is, to me, just so sketchy. That
the fact that you had the equipment to analyze and find out what was wrong with someone and it wasn't used,
you let
it wasn't
the
recalibrated.
Battery died.
Yeah, it's just a lot of weird things
what?
all at once in this.
Yeah, so I just thought it was really interesting and really sad that this happened and that no one is held accountable for this. Not even the base itself is held accountable. It's crazy. Out here in America, we're sue happy. Everyone sues everyone.
Right.
So the fact that nothing happened from this is absolutely
bizarre.
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre. But yeah, so that is the South Pole poisoning.
That's really good. It was also really sad the fact that it has not been solved yet, and it just seems like it's faded from view. So thank you for bringing that up 20 years after it happened.
Yeah, thank you.
Good work.
Thanks.
All right, I think before we move into the next topic, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
And now we're back from the commercial. Hey, what up?
Wow, that was quick. So this week I wanted to do a sort of local legend style topic. I've been thinking a lot about weird things back home that I went and saw when I was in high school and stuff like that. And I was really hoping to dig into the nitty gritty of something that sounds like a story you'd hear around a campfire, kind of. Something that's creepy, but almost certainly 100% bullshit when you hear it. It still creeps you out and you're like, that's totally fake. And I gotta say, I feel like I found the perfect topic.
Well, I mean, a lot of things that we cover could possibly, they come off as fake because they just don't sound real. But there's that guy that I covered, Charlie No Face or whatever. He doesn't
real.
sound real, but he's totally real. So.
Yeah, I actually saw him a few times when I was going through my research for this topic.
Oh, yeah.
When you do researches for topics like this, you just find a bunch of fucking top 5, top 8, top 10 lists. Yes. So I had to scroll past Charlie No Face a few times, but I want to say, truth be told, I didn't find this. The user, and I think I'm saying the name correct, Yerthe, it's Yerthe,
Yert.
on Discord was the first person to bring this to my attention in our channel for story theme suggestions. So shout out to you and the Discord community. You guys really help out when I'm trying to find something, and there's a lot of suggestions in there, and it really is helpful. This episode, I'm going to be covering the most haunted 11 miles in Colorado, known as Riverdale Road.
I love that TV show.
I knew you were going to make a fucking reference to Riverdale. And just for full disclosure, I put Colorado because it's the state. Riverdale Road is located in Thornton, Colorado. Thornton or Thornton? I don't know how to say it exactly. Because some people don't pronounce the N on stuff like that. Whatever. I grew up next to a town called Maryville, but it's Merrillville. But no one there says the L. It's just Maryville.
Well, is it because you say the L really fast, like Merrillville?
Maybe. So Thornton, Colorado is where this is located. And if you're asking, because this is the first thing that pops into my head. If it's a place I've never been to, and I'm like, okay, is that near another place I've never been to, but I've heard about? It's like if you say something's from in Vegas, if you're like, oh, it's not in Vegas, but it's nearby. For me, it's like, oh, so Henderson? Because I know the town, Henderson's the next town just outside of Vegas. But to other people, if you were in Vegas, in a car driving, you'd enter Henderson and not know it. You'd still think you're in Las Vegas because it's one seemingly transitionless town to town.
All right.
That's how this is too. Thornton is 10 miles away from downtown Colorado. So it's right there. Or downtown Denver, excuse me. So this is right by Denver, just north of it. So for folks from Vegas, you kind of get what I'm talking about, how the town just sort of blends over, and people from Chicago and other big metropolitan cities totally understand, suddenly you're in just a different part of town. You know what I mean? So that's how this is, but you can picture Denver if you want to. It's just on the outskirts of it. So full disclosure, when I was doing research on this place, it really started to get that creepy feeling going as I was going through all the different legends. 'Cause
Really?
it's only an 11-mile road, and there's all these different things, and then I was like...
Is that why that video earlier scared you? Because you were reading this topic
No,
and you're just... Okay.
it's not. It's because I was watching a topic about, like, a fucking snake with a bunch of eggs, like, in the middle of it, and then all of a sudden it jumps to the screen, and, like, it immediately starts playing, like, some scary, super loud music to... It's a jump scare video, and I was like, fuck this is stupid. It's completely unrelated. Anyways...
Okay.
So I was like, I need to find some sources on this to see if any of this is real. And then I started to get that, this kind of smells like a load of poop feeling to it. Because I will say, we've covered lots of stuff on Scaryish, and not everything winds up having sources. Some of that stuff is local legends that's just been passed down without specific incidents to point to. So I'll give you that disclosure. Take all of these stories with an extra large grain of salt. Or a triple XL margarita if you're like Robin, your choice. So I will say they're really interesting stories, but I can't confirm that any of these actually happened whatsoever. So there's only a couple of things that have an official standpoint to them, and we'll get to that. But there were actually multiple websites that either linked to news articles that didn't exist or linked to other paranormal sites that actually didn't have any clarifying information on it. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed, but I'm just going to put all this in here and then let the audience decide what's real and what's not. This one really actually reminded me of, like, that high school ghost story that you hear when you're growing up. You know, like, if you actually try to get to the root of it, you'd probably wind up getting really skeptical about it. Like, one person tells you about it and says, like, oh, yeah, man, like, Bobby's cousin actually died there. There's always, like, some sort of, like, real connection to that campfire story from where people grew up. And then you ask Bobby, and Bobby's like, well, not my cousin, but my buddy Billy's cousin actually died there. So it just keeps getting further and further removed. You're like, this sort of smells like bullshit. Then you hunt down Bill, and he's like, no, I thought it was Bobby's cousin. I don't actually have a cousin. And you start to be like, someone just made this shit up, and it took on a life of itself. And for me in high school, it'd be like, you're going to actually go there. And then you go there, and you're all skeptical, and you see Bobby and Billy standing out on the side of the road waving at you, and suddenly they disappear, and you're like, you ask your friends, did you just see Bobby and Billy? And they're like, we don't know a Bobby or Billy. And you realize you've been talking to ghosts the entire time. And you got
like the premise of a
Shyamalan.
movie?
No, I just made up a bunch of bullshit because it sounded really fun.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So it's something like that. So what I'm saying here is that it's a local legend and no one knows exactly where they came from. But everyone seems to agree that they actually exist if you're from the region. So let's get into the actual legends of Riverdale Road, shall we? I will say there are no Riverdale jokes built into my script at all.
What?
Because I have not watched that show.
Yes, you have, haven't you?
In the background, maybe when you had it on. And I put, plus I'm sure Robin will make at least one by this point, which she has. So, predicted that shit.
Babe, don't be such a jughead, okay?
I hate you so much. All right. So, this stretch of road has quite a few legends associated with it. Part of the road is said to be built on what was once part of a Native American reservation.
Of course it is.
Of course, right? Now, I could not confirm this. I've already mentioned the fact that I can't find the truth behind any of this. It's said that in this area, in this part where it just overlaps, there were shapeshifters, Native American shapeshifters who used to roam around the area. They called them shapeshifters. They didn't call them skinwalkers. I feel like they're one and the same, though. There are tales that folks traveling along the road, especially those that are walking, so if you're on foot, happen upon one of these shapeshifters. And some are just trying to communicate with you, so in most cases it'll be like either an animal or a human that just sort of greets you, you know?
Oh, okay.
But a lot of them are pranksters. Not like the pull my finger type of prankster.
Adam's been doing that to me, like, all weekend.
It hasn't been the finger, though. It's been
He's
can you pull my toe?
Yeah, oh my foot.
Can you touch my foot? And then, yeah, you know what happens afterwards. So, anyways, these sorts of pranksters aren't those kind. They're the kind that want to do something that will scare you out of your mind. And there are those that say that passerby on the road will see some sort of animal activity on or near the road and not think too much of it, and then suddenly those animals will change into human beings before their very eyes, obviously scaring the shit out of them. The other prank they pull is pretty obvious. People see a human being on or near the road, and then they suddenly change into an animal. And I think it's safe to say that no matter which direction they're shifting, to animal or from animal, it's pretty terrifying for anyone who's witnessing it, you know?
Yeah.
It said that something about seeing genuine shock and surprise on the face of a person, it like gives them this sort of energy that they enjoy. Not necessarily hurting them, but that sort of like absolute terror fuels them.
Like in Monsters, Inc.? they like capture the screams.
I haven't seen Monsters, Inc.
Oh, my sweet.
in like 15, 20 years. But sure, we'll say that that's correct.
They like go in there and then they scare the children and they capture the screams into these canisters, right? And that's how they power their city. They power
I did
their
not
city
realize
with
that
screams.
they were capturing screams. I thought it was just for funsies and they kept like a leaderboard. So it's been a really long time. I'm pretty sure I was drunk when I watched that movie the first
Oh,
time
my
too.
Atlanta.
So I didn't watch it when it came out, for clarification. I watched it when I was like 20, 21, somewhere around there.
Oh, you didn't do it when you were like 12?
No. So an area like this, a stretch of road like this that has such significant distractions like people turning into animals or animals turning into people. So another thing about this stretch of road is it sounds like it's safer to drive through it because it said that anyone who actually sits down on the road or near the road will be cursed.
What?
No specifics to what that curse will be.
So you just got to keep walking.
Just keep walking, keep driving, don't stop, don't sit, just keep going. So it sounds like driving is safer, but I can't imagine driving down this road because it would be very distracting to see.
So,
go ahead.
When you're driving in a car, though, technically you're sitting.
But you're moving. You're still moving. So I think you're going to be okay. I'm just saying, like, if you were to see a human being change into an animal or vice versa, it would be very distracting.
What about if you do the Asian squat? If you do the Asian...
What the fuck is the Asian squat?
You're not necessarily sitting, you're squatting. You're not technically sitting.
I don't know. I imagine the shapeshifters would come up and measure, and then they'd have a council of them, which would decide whether or not you're technically sitting or not. They'd probably curse you for the trouble. This is definitely a place that the more I read about it, I really wanted to visit. And I'm just saying that once we get our own TV show, which we all know will never happen, one of our first episodes would be us driving down this road in the daytime, and then we'd go back again and drive it at night. Because things do happen during the day and do happen at night, but some of them are specific to the night. So I found this interview, which I thought was really interesting, with the Thornton Police Department spokesperson, Matt Barnes, about this road. And
His name sounds so fake.
Matt Barnes?
Yeah, he sounds like a character out of a cartoon or something.
It's not like John Smith, where it's super generic. But Matt Barnes had this interview done on September of 2019, so it is fairly recent.
Oh, wow, okay. 2019, that's crazy.
Yeah, so only a few months ago, actually. During this interview, he stated, "Yo, dogs." Not really.
Was his voice that deep?
Yeah. "Yo, dogs. We have not been able to remember or locate any calls for service worth mentioning that would be in any way related to these urban legends." So he's kind of like putting his foot down, like, all these urban legends are fake. We don't have any records of any things like that. So clearly, Matt is covering up the truth. Or he's telling the truth. It's really hard to tell nowadays. But it makes sense why finding any sort of data was hard for me when I was doing my research. And it sounds like the sources of these legends may not exactly be true, but sort of hearsay traveling between folks in like the local town.
All right.
That does not mean that this road is safe. By September of 2019, this 11-mile stretch of road had already accrued 33 instances of property damage and or injury accidents.
That's insane.
It's a lot, right? Like, I knew roads that were really bad that had blind turns where I came from. 33 is so high, and that's only 9 months into the year. For the year of 2019, they're at 33 by September. So he also confirmed that there have been multiple fatal crashes in, quote, recent memory. Whatever that means. It stated that Matt Barnes had worked for that police department for 30 years, so they weren't sure if it meant, like, within his time there. Mm-hmm. But either way, fatal crashes in, quote, recent memory seem like it would fuel a lot of these rumors.
Yeah.
So he denies it and then confirms it at the same time. So it's a really weird interview. He stated that the fatal crashes were due to the road's, quote, winding nature and excessive speeds these drivers attempt on the roadways. So he's blaming the actual road itself and how people drive like assholes, basically.
I mean, people do drive like assholes.
They do, absolutely. Literally every website I found that talks about this road mentions the turns and states multiple of them are blind corners. So you don't even see where you're turning. You just have to try and stand between the lines and trust there's no one there.
Right.
If you're not careful or someone else is not careful, you just get into an accident, and that's just the way of life. That's the way of driving around blind corners. I went to Google Maps and found the road and did that thing where you can drag that little orange guy onto the map and drop him and walk up and down. What I can confirm is that it is windy and it is creepy at times. I can also state that I found speed limit signs in 3 separate spots stating that the speed limit is 40 miles an hour.
What?
During a lot of the blind turns, it's 35 miles an hour. And there's also a roundabout there that I think slowed down to 25 miles an hour. So if people are driving way too fast, it's not because the speed limit's set too high. It's because people are dumb. So it also might be because they are scared. It's like if shapeshifters weren't enough on this like infamous road of things that can creep you out, there's some other things that make you want to get through there quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I'm just thinking like they see something on the side of the road and they're just like, gotta get out of here. This is weird. Or they have the feeling like something's following them or something's watching them. And they're like, I just gotta get out of here.
So, perfect transition. We're about to get to that. Legend has it, there was a little boy walking to school alongside Riverdale Road.
That sounds dangerous.
Unfortunately, it's kind of ironic because, like, I grew up in an area that was really rural with low speed limits where people drove like assholes. So this one kind of really rang true to me, you know? But this boy never showed up at school.
Aww.
So why, you ask? No, he wasn't kidnapped. Jeez, negativity.
I just imagine he got hit by a car.
He was hit by a car and killed.
Oh.
So it's said that he wanders the street at night, and passerby are often said to see this boy on the side of the road, and when they do, they do a double take, and all of a sudden he's not there anymore. Or they stop and pull over to ask him why he's out at night, and he's just suddenly gone. Something like that would definitely make you want to drive through there very quickly, you know? The street signs.
I'm just like, I've watched way too many horror movies, but I just imagine him popping up in your back seat.
There's no backseat ghost in this one, which is nice. But they state that after they see the child and they keep driving along the way, every road sign they see has a little tiny child-sized handprint in blood.
Shut the fuck up.
On the road signs.
No way. You're no.
I mean, it's probably all lies. You're probably sure. What's worse is when they tell other folks what they've seen and take them back to examine the signs, the handprints are gone. It's said that in multiple instances, they've taken people and they've shown them the handprints that were bloody, and they've been like, whoa, no way. But in the morning, it's disappeared. So either they have really good sanitation workers, or the ghosts are making these things disappear, or it's all bullshit.
But, okay, when I think of that legend-wise, it's like the kid wants to warn people, like, maybe you should go the speed limit.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that would scare the shit out of me. There was a driver apparently in the 70s who, maybe out of fear and maybe just for funsies, was hauling ass down Riverdale Road. Now, not much is known about how this happened, but it is said on all these websites that he suffered a, quote, fatal crash. The legend does not mention another vehicle being included.
Okay.
So,
I mean, if you're driving a truck or something and you're going around a corner really fast...
It wasn't a truck. It's actually really specific. It's the next line. So, it sounds like he lost control of his car, which was a Camaro. BT
okay.
Dubs.
See, I mean, you lose control of it and it topples over.
He did, and he just doesn't survive. So, since I can't confirm that this actually happened, and it doesn't feel as real, just go ahead and picture the car wreck from the end of Talladega Nights. Where the two cars just keep spinning and barrel rolling end over end. And, like, it takes so long that they just take a commercial break. So, and then when it comes to arrest, finally, the driver has X's over his eyes indicating that he died. So, the reason I tell you that this guy drove a Camaro is because you need to know that in case you are driving down Riverdale Road, because some folks have reported seeing a 70s era Camaro with one headlight not working.
Oh my god, though.
Very specific.
That's so specific.
It's supposed to pull up behind you and get super, super close, tailgating you, aggressively driving at you. If you look in the mirror to either do like the hand wave, like the I'm sorry for whatever I did, or the like to flip him the bird like, hey, fuck you, you will notice no one is driving the Camaro. It's a ghost car. And I gotta say,
got so excited about
side note, I am so happy I reread this part of my script because I was like, no, I want to put more in there because I just came up with that joke on my second pass through and I was like, yes, I was so excited.
So it's a Christine.
It's like a Christine, yeah. And the purpose of this aggressive driving towards you is, of course, to entice you into a race. The purpose of the race is to get you to crash your car and kill you. I find the best thing to do when getting peer pressured into a race by a ghost car, or maybe even a real car with an actual person driver, is to use the strategy that actually my uncle taught me, that he used when he used to have folks that messed with him on I-94 or any of the other freeways back where I'm from. You would go to the dollar store and buy mini crowbars. And anytime someone made you mad, you would throw them out your windows at the other drivers on the road.
You can't do that.
Oh, it's hella illegal. I don't think he has his license anymore. I don't know because I don't talk to him anymore. But he really fucking used to do that. So
that is awful.
So if there's a legend later on, like 10, 20 years down the road, of a ghost car driving down the roads of Chicago throwing crowbars out the window, you know where it came from.
Oh, my fucking... Oh, God. I cannot... Oh, no.
It's just like his family. Oh, my God.
God. Okay.
So lots of ghosts frequent this road due to accidents between pedestrians and vehicles. There's a spot on Riverdale Road that's actually supposed to be quite picturesque and beautiful called Joggers Hill. Joggers Hill actually has its own ghost story separate from Riverdale Road that some websites don't even realize they're the same road because it has specific things related to it. Joggers Hill is supposedly near the intersection of Riverdale and 120th Avenue, which I was able to locate on Google Maps and find what appeared to me to be a hill.
It's like your best friend.
That I would name Joggers Hill. What?
Google Maps is like your best friend this episode.
Oh, yeah. And me and Google Maps go way, way back. So when I found this, I took some screenshots. They're going to be posted to our Instagram. Some of them are like the creepy shots of what is Riverdale Road, and the other ones are like, this is what it actually looks like, you know, during the daytime. So it'll be a nice thing to compare for folks that want to check out our Instagram. We also post it on Facebook nowadays, so you can check it out there as well. So anyways, although it's a nice view, especially during sunrise or sunset, which is times when a lot of joggers will run, that doesn't mean it's safe from the paranormal. So there was a jogger, supposedly, who was getting in their cardio along Riverdale Road.
Cardio?
Cardio.
Okay.
That's what you call running or cardiovascular exercise. Yeah. While exercising, they were struck by a passing vehicle and killed. According to the legend, the vehicle did not stop. No one ever found out who it was that killed them. It is said now that a jogger can be seen running up and down the road during the day and the night, particularly during sunrise and sunset. For those that actually traverse the road on foot, that still use Joggers Hill to jog, they complain of constantly hearing footsteps of another runner who is not there.
Wow.
For anyone who's ever run, and I used to run a lot.
That's terrifying.
You always look around when you hear other footsteps to know if you need to like move out of the way. Or maybe there's someone in front of you and you're looking around to see if you're going to be passing someone. And if you're constantly hearing another set of footsteps, it's not to the cadence of your feet. That is creepy as shit. Some even say they hear what sounds like a loud heartbeat. Like the heartbeat of a runner running right next to them. Like when you check your own pulse and you hear your pulse beating in your ears. They say they hear that as well. Drivers state that they feel something hitting their car as they drive through Joggers Hill. And it's credited to the ghost jogger. Not sure how they determine it was the jogger and not the child ghost. But that's the way the legend goes. Now there are some particular sightings that state that the jogger is actually seen while you're driving. And for whatever reason, people know that's not a real person. It's probably because this jogger attempts to run alongside your car while you're running at speeds that are apparently way too fast for a normal human being. So I, of course, picture the T-1000 from Terminator 2 chasing the fucking car when I think about this, which is terrifying. And it's also stated on one site that if the phantom jogger is able to catch up to the car... They try and catch up on the driver's side, not the passenger side.
No.
And that if they reach the driver's side window, you will die.
Shut up.
Not sure if it's just the driver or everyone in the car croaks, but that's what this legend on the website states. So it kind of makes sense why folks would drive fast. I will say that last detail about the ghost reaching the window and you dying was only found on that one website. So who knows if they just made that up for some extra spice.
I know, but it's a good story.
Or if they actually have the real scoop that you need to know about. So I figured I'd include it so you guys would know. Another piece of paranormal activity that is said to take place on Riverdale Road typically happens during a full moon.
Werewolf?
It's not a werewolf, but I knew that you were going to guess werewolf on that one. Because, I mean, it's a full moon. How could you not guess werewolf? The story states that you can see bodies swinging from the trees along the road at night.
This is awful.
And there are a lot of trees. While there's not one specific legend to associate with this, I will say the origin seems to be generated from back in the 1800s when slaves were killed in this area and hung from the trees near the road, which is just awful.
I'm absolutely terrified right now.
Right?
Like, oh my gosh.
This legend doesn't have any sort of curse associated with it. It's just this really dark reminder of a horrible time when something like this actually did take place.
Yeah.
It reminds me of what we talked about previously on the show, where some awful event could happen that's so traumatic, it leaves some sort of scar on the physical world that reverberates through time, you know? And maybe that's what we're talking about here when people say that they see what appears to be bodies of men hanging in trees. Now, the final legend I'm going to cover when it comes to Riverdale Road is that of the, quote, Gates of Hell. Now, I saw this on every single site that mentions Riverdale Road, and it's really annoying because folks do not understand that the word literally means literally and not figuratively, because they put, there are literal gates to hell on Riverdale Road. And then as soon as you start reading right after that, it's like they're describing something figuratively. So I'm just all about, you can go fuck right off. It just annoys me so much.
Okay.
The story here is that there was a large property built along the road with a mansion on it, and that driveway had an iron gate at its entrance.
Ah, Graceland. Got it.
Yep, exactly. This is supposedly still there, and folks supposedly still go to the gates because it said they see some weird shit there.
Really?
When the gates were still new, they blocked the entrance to a home that some random man had built. I couldn't even find a name for him. And his wife and what ranges between one and several children occupied the house with him. Depending on what version of this legend you hear, this was either an isolated incident that led to tragedy or something with a much slower build with an eventual culmination of evil.
Okay.
So it's, up to you for which one you're going to take. Choose your own adventure. Some sources say that the man in the house basically just lost his mind overnight. Others state that he was actually worshiping the devil for quite some time and only did the Dark One's bidding, which eventually culminated with what he wound up doing.
That sounds like some Lovecraftian shit right there.
Wow. Regardless of what the case was, the story states that on one fateful night, this man decided while looking around, I'd go really nice with this house. Fire. And he burned his mansion to the ground with his wife and children and himself still inside. It burned to the ground, consuming the entire family with it. Now, I will say, there are apparently a bunch of different locations claiming to be the site of where these gates still stand, which is the only thing that marks where the property was. I found a bunch of different locations on the interwebs. None of them match. None of them are confirmed. People say it might not even have existed, and there's just a set of gates from a different property where this legend built up around it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give you an intersection like I did for Joggers Hill or anything like that. It's very possible it's all just a legend. If you are able to locate the gates, folks have claimed to see shadow people moving around them, along with otherworldly beings being sighted there. Those that don't witness any sort of paranormal being state that they're just filled with an overwhelming sense of dread and sadness, as if they're feeling the pain of the family that burned alive inside the home. There is also said to be another legend attached to this one, which is about a woman dressed in a white nightgown that is seen along the road near where the house used to be. She wanders the road, reportedly in search of her children who are missing, and folks tend to see her only in their rearview mirror on the sides of the road after they pass like a specific location.
Rearview mirror shit scares the crap out of me.
But she's not in the car, thankfully. Some do claim that they see her as they approach, so they see her in front of her, and they pull over to offer assistance. Several witnesses, that probably don't exist, also state that they've seen this woman hitchhiking.
Oh, no.
So trying to get into cars. Whatever the case, anyone who does pull over to offer assistance states that the woman disappears as soon as they speak to her. Now, there are a bunch of rumors that quote-unquote satanic activity occurs along the road.
I love the quote-unquote.
Well, it's like, it reminds me of that documentary we watched where they're talking about, like, the murders that took place, like, in the 90s. They're like, and the boys started playing a satanic game known as Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
I'm like, fuck this documentary, turn it off, I hate it. So, there's supposedly this satanic activity that happens on the road. All I have seen to confirm that on the internet is it's based off the fact that there are several spots that are popular for graffiti, and some of it is less than biblical. But there's like stuff like save us or help me, but not like any of the things you would associate with satanic activity, like pentagrams or any of that shit, which is not even like actual satanic activity, just something that people interpret as satanic activity. But they just state that like evil things happen along this road. So I'm not sure if this qualifies for satanic activity unless you're like operating on full church lady standards, but it's definitely not a normal place to spend your time. Church Lady is an 80s skit with Dana Carvey. I don't know if you remember it. It might have made its way into the 90s.
No. I like Dana Carvey. I remember the one where he's the master of disguise.
Okay, well, you're almost there.
So,
maybe I'll show you Church Lady one of these days.
Okay.
So this isn't one of those locations either where I can say, and they offer free tours, or they offer tours for $40, blah, 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 blah. Because it's literally an active stretch of road, you know? It's not like a specific location. The police spokesman I referenced earlier stated that the most activity they see is typically from some form of trespassing from local kids, quote-unquote, ghost hunting, and just going onto other people's property, people that actually exist and own it. So I've been that kid before. It's shitty. Don't do it. I can tell you that while on my digital tour via Google Maps, all of the properties I saw along the road were actually fairly nice. There's certain stretches where it's just desolate and there's nothing around, but there's certain spots where there's actual homes and there's ranches and there's just all this open area that's fenced in.
Oh, wow.
It's really, really pretty. Now, all of the properties have one thing in common. There are multiple no trespassing signs all over, so it's clearly a common problem.
Yeah.
So while most of these legends do sound like they're actually just the result of tall tales being spun throughout the ages, it definitely seems like a fairly dangerous road in reality for pedestrians and people driving fast. So it wouldn't shock me if some of these stories are rooted in some sort of truth and are perhaps used as cautionary tales for people to be careful or to slow down.
I mean, if the speed limit is 35 to 45 or whatever you said, right?
35 to 40 in most cases, yeah.
Just follow the speed limit. It's there for a reason.
Just drive at a speed you know you're not going to flip or hit someone,
but,
you know?
Even when you say, like, where you know you're not going to flip or hit someone, you know people
I like how you make that douchey voice for me.
Because people are still going to be like, then I'm just going to go 65 or 70 because I'm not going to flip or whatever. You know
I'm just saying, like, if you go 50 instead of 45, it's not like you're going to go to hell for it. Just drive a speed you know something bad's not going to happen.
Someone mathematically figured out the safest speed.
Yeah, a traffic engineer who mathematically arranged all of these intersections in Las Vegas, and I hate them for it because they were probably drunk and just half dead when they did it.
You're so dumb.
But it's probably better to err on the side of caution and actually go the speed limit on this 11-mile stretch of road. But that, my spooky friends, are the legends behind one of the most haunted roads in America, known as Riverdale Road.
Cute.
So I hope you enjoyed that. That was a suggestion from one of the spooky friends, like I mentioned in Discord.
I mean, I love those, like, campfire stories. They're really good.
And this is one that I seriously think, like, if we ever had some sort of show or series, like, even if we just were in Colorado and we decided, like, let's just make some content, we could just take a cell phone or a GoPro, drive up the road during the day, see what it looks like, and then drive up the road during the night, maybe a little bit slower, take our time with it, and see if we run into anything creepy. So I don't know how many spooky friends we have in the Denver area. If you've ever heard of this before or have been there, let us know. I'm not saying you should go and risk your well-being. I definitely don't support that, but I have interest in, like, the locals and whether or not they've experienced stuff. Like when we covered Goatman's Bridge and people told us what that was like.
Yeah.
Or other, like, local legends when people reach out to us like, oh yeah, I've been there. That shit's scary. So hit us up and let us know. But I think that's just about everything I have for my topic, which means that we're at the end of the show.
Thank you guys for sticking around for this whole episode. You guys are absolutely awesome.
If you want to reach out to us, if you have any stories you'd like to share with us, please email storytime@scaryish.com or go to our website, scaryish.com, and click on Contact Us. Fill out that form. It does come directly to us. Or hit us up on any of our social medias. Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter's handle is @scarishpod, and Instagram is @scarishpodcast.
You know what's funny is I have to go move the dog bed from the washer to the dryer, and I'm too scared to go downstairs.
Just turn on the lights on your way down. I think you'll be okay. Unless you see a woman in white hitchhiking on the stairs, I think you'll be fine.
No, now I'm even more scared.
What if you see bloody children handprints along the staircase?
Nope.
That'd be pretty creepy.
No, I'm going to bed after this.
So, Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us monetarily so we can buy more salt and iron objects to keep the demons at bay, how can they do so?
We have no iron objects.
Yeah, we should probably invest into some of that.
We don't have any pokers for the fireplace.
We have a lot of salt, though. So.
We do have a lot of salt. You can go to patreon.com/Scaryish podcast. Those are monthly donations, whole bunch of different tiers. That is the one place where you will get ad-free episodes. So go check that out. And there's a discount code right now exclusive to patrons for our Etsy shop that does stack on top of free shipping. So you guys can do that. And then there's a coffee, ko-fi.com/Scaryish podcast. Those are one-time donations, and all those donations go to helping us upgrade our studio setup. And we're really thankful for everyone who's been a longtime patron, who's donated anything to us, who's been purchasing these new pins. You guys are absolutely awesome.
And for anyone who's just out there listening consistently, even if you build up a backlog and power through a bunch of episodes in a row, or you listen every week,
yeah, ghost
it means
listeners,
the world
we
to
see
us.
you.
We see you, ghost listeners, and we appreciate you. So, sincerely, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you to everyone who supports the show. You guys are amazing, and I think that's just about everything we have.
Yeah, so keep on creeping on, and we will talk to you guys later, probably tonight. Meh.
Bye.